So let's start with the truth that almost nobody ever wants to hear. The relationship fight didn't start 5 minutes ago. It started decades earlier, before either of you even met each other. If your relationship is on the rocks because you can't even communicate with each other and you can't stop fighting, I'm going to show you how you're not fighting about what you think you're fighting about. I know you think it's about their tone, or it's that they didn't get the dishes done, it's that they never listened to you, or that maybe it's because they always shut down. But I'm here to tell you the relationship fight didn't start 5 minutes ago, and it didn't start with any of those. It started decades earlier, before either of you even met each other. And until you understand that every conversation will keep turning into a fight, even when both of you are desperately wanting to communicate better. So by the end of this video, you're going to know the real reason your conversations keep escalating and you can't stop fighting, why the communication tools alone that most videos will teach you don't work. And I'm going to show you exactly how to break the fight pattern you're stuck in today. I'm going to walk you through what I call the worst day cycle, how it hijacks literally every person on this planet and every adult relationship everybody's in. Then I'm going to give you the solution, both the authentic self cycle and my emotional authenticity method. This is the root cause solution you've been searching for, and I guarantee it. So let's start with the truth that almost nobody ever wants to hear. No adult, any adult, the healthiest, best relationship you can throw in my face, nobody ever fights about the present. It's not how our brain and body works. We only fight about the past, and the fights we're having are about the past that hasn't been healed yet. See, when you're in a conversation and suddenly feel misunderstood, attacked, rejected, or dismissed, that feeling is not coming from the adult version of you. It's coming from a much younger version of you. That's the part of you that learned a long time ago that love is unpredictable, unsafe, or it's conditional. That's why even the simplest conversations, the two of you are exploding at each other. You see, your partner isn't hearing the present day you, and you're not hearing the present day them. You're both hearing echoes of the childhood wounds inside yourselves. And I'm going to prove it to both of you. So I want you to think about a simple little conversation that turns into a fight. Ones that go like, "Why didn't you call me?" When what you really meant, or what they really meant, was, "I missed you." But the child inside you, when they make that accusation, that tone, you hear the way they came at you, the child inside you doesn't hear their words, doesn't connect to any of that. What they feel becomes these words: "I messed up again. I can't get anything right. I'm obviously not enough." You see, now you're not even answering the question. You're defending yourself against an old emotional wound. And that's why your conversations become a fight. Think about it. How many times have they said something, you respond just like them? They're like, "What's going on?" You're like, "Well, don't treat me that way." And they're like, "What do you mean? I just asked why you didn't call." But you felt something from the past which made you hear something different. Both of you are doing that to each other, and I'm going to show you why and how this happens. It's because all emotions, for every person on this planet, we're not born with emotions. Emotions are learned in childhood. We learn emotional constructs and definitions based on the family system we grew up and the society we were raised in. So every person on this planet, all adult reactions, emotional reactions, are just them reliving their past. That's how emotions work. You store those original definitions in your brain, and when your brain sees, smells, touches, tastes, or hears something similar to that first emotional experience where you created a definition and meaning about what that was, your brain goes right back to it, can't even stop it. It's how it works for all of us. That's why none of us are ever arguing in the present. We're never fighting emotionally about the present. We're always emotionally fighting about the past. This is how the worst day cycle works. And I'm going to show you how all of us are stuck in the worst day cycle. And I'm going to do it by giving you the first 3 steps of my emotional authenticity method. So this is what I want you to do. You can go to my website and you'll see there's a free download. If you go to resources, you can print off the feelings wheel. If you don't want to do that, just pull it. You're probably watching on your phone. Just pause for a second, go over to Google and type in feelings list. Grab it, okay? Now, I want you to think about the last time you had a fight with your partner. Pull that feelings wheel up. And you're gonna ask these 3 questions. What was I feeling? And what thought came from that feeling? How did I define the feeling with my thought? Then ask yourself, where in my body did I feel this when we were having the fight? And number 3, what's my first memory of ever having this feeling? So now, remember your last fight, write down the feelings. What were they? Probably something like anger, frustrated, exhausted, invisible, unheard, neglected, abandoned, countless other really painful feelings. Now ask yourself, where in your body do you feel those emotions? Now let's move to step 3. When was the last time I felt that feeling? So most of you are going to remember probably the fight before that with your partner. That's fine, write it down. 2 weeks before that, write it down. What was the time before that? Keep going. Maybe there was a high school sweetheart who did kind of the same thing. You had the same experience. Maybe it was a friend, maybe it was a coworker. Just keep going back and back and back. Let your brain, the first thing that comes up for many people to go, oh, that probably doesn't matter. It does matter, write it down. Or you'll go, oh, well, that wasn't a big deal. You'll minimize it. No, it is a big deal. Write it down. You're gonna go all the way back. And eventually, you're gonna find yourself seeing that the first time you ever had this exact same feeling, which created the thought, anger, sadness, frustrated, whatever, and felt it in your body, was in childhood. What happened? Was it your parent? Was it your teacher? Was it your priest or pastor, coach, friend, sibling? Now do you see? You're not fighting with your partner. You're fighting with that unhealed wound from childhood. You haven't healed the pain from your past. Both of you and your partner, your hurt child selves are running your relationship and ruining your communication with each other. You're both stuck in the first stage of the worst day cycle, trauma. And you're replaying the unhealed pain from both of your past against each other. So, if both of you don't make the choice to learn about the worst day cycle and overcome it by using the authentic self cycle through the emotional authenticity method, neither of you are ever going to feel heard or understood. Most likely your fights are going to escalate, and it's quite possible you won't be able to save your relationship. Now that we've identified the first stage of the worst day cycle, trauma, let's look at the second stage, fear. Have you noticed that there's a moment in every single fight where something shifts? Your voice gets faster, your heart rate jumps. You start defending, you start blaming, maybe you want to run away or shut down. Who knows, you might throw things, scream things. When you're in that place, you're in survival mode. When your nervous system senses danger, emotional danger, even imagined danger, even old trauma-based danger, your brain does one thing. It turns your partner into a threat. Now you're not trying to understand them. You're trying to survive them. And here's the key. You can't communicate with somebody you're trying to survive. Your brain literally removes all empathy, logic, and nuance. This is the biological engine of every single one of your fights. You are both stuck in stage 2 of the worst day cycle. Now, because you're stuck in the old childhood wound and the fear, what you end up doing is you end up arguing about the content instead of the underlying emotion, the original wound. This is where every couple gets stuck. They argue about the content of the conversation instead of dealing with the emotion beneath it. Most don't even know that this is what they're doing. So you think the argument is, I'm tired of reminding you, I don't like your tone. You're not listening to me. But the real conflict between both of you is underneath those words. It's the feelings that those words are hiding. I feel invisible. I'm scared you leave. I don't feel valued. Or maybe I feel controlled. So can you see now, if you don't uncover the original wound and start speaking the emotion, the content that you guys are sharing is always going to create explosions between the two of you. You've got no shot if you don't have emotional authenticity and the ability to identify your feelings on a deep level and recognize that when I use content like this, what I'm really trying to get across is this feeling. That's what emotional authenticity gives you. The ability to recognize I use thoughts and actions like this to try and communicate what I'm really feeling. If I don't understand me, and that's what I'm doing, how the heck is my partner ever going to understand me? How am I ever going to feel heard? Because I'm sharing content that's hiding what I really want to talk about. That's why you're unheard. It's both of you doing it to each other. Neither of you are at fault or to blame. You're both sharing in this because nobody's taught you this is how fights happen. So let's give some examples, or go through some examples of how content can hide the underlying emotion. Maybe the man turns to you and says, you know, sweetheart, we need to talk about the bills. The woman hears something different. She goes, I'm already stressed. Why are you attacking me? The man's like, wait, I'm talking about finances. What he doesn't realize is when she replies that way, and what she doesn't realize is she's talking about unhealed shame. They're having two different conversations. All because neither one of them knows that they both take turns falling into stage 3 of the worst day cycle. Shame. Shame makes us feel less than. And so when we hear a conversation, hear a topic or content where maybe we have been perfectly imperfect, that unhealed shame from childhood jumps up and we lash out. We try and create a diversion so we don't have to admit that we're talking about our unhealed shame. But it gets worse than that. It moves into stage 4, denial. This is where you both blame the other person for starting the fight. Once again, neither side of either of you knows that as soon as you start blaming the other, you've dropped into stage 4 of the worst day cycle. You're both in denial. You're both trying to defend yourself and make them the problem to guard yourself and them from ever seeing or dealing with or knowing about this unhealed wound from childhood. Now, I know that's hard to believe, but here's how we all go into denial. All of us are in denial Everyone on this planet struggles with self-deception, and I'm going to show you why that's true. It happens in childhood because our childhood taught us how to turn differences into danger. And that's why in those moments, your partner feels like your enemy. You see, when you're growing up, there was always some sort of emotional rule in your house. Maybe it was to stay safe, I have to become something. What was it? Think about your childhood. Did you have to be perfect? Maybe you had to be the quiet one, strong one, pleasant, invisible, the black sheep. Maybe you were in control. Maybe you were never needy. Or maybe you figured out, for you to get noticed in this family, you'll always have to be helpful. Whatever your family required to stay emotionally safe, that became your survival identity. You had to deny who you really are, what you really feel, need, and want. But here's the tragedy. In almost all cases, because of the worst day cycle and how our brain and body works, our brain and body becomes addicted to replaying the trauma, fear, shame, and denial that we first learned in childhood. And so, the tragedy for all of us is we will almost all pick a partner whose denial strategy is the exact opposite of ours. So your survival strategy threatens theirs, and their survival strategy threatens yours. Let me show you how that works. Maybe in your childhood you were taught, don't upset anyone, because if you do, bad things will happen. So if that became your survival strategy, what are you going to do? You're going to avoid conflict. But what if your partner learned the opposite? If we don't talk about things, danger is coming. So what will they do? They'll pursue conflict. So do you see? Your silence triggers their fear, and their intensity triggers yours. You don't dislike each other. You're just two wounded children, stuck in the worst day cycle, trying to protect yourselves. That's smart. That's a great survival strategy, but only when you're a child. As you can see, you're here. It doesn't work as an adult trying to have a relationship with another adult. Now I know that's heavy, but here's the good news. You can stop a fight instantly. You don't have to change the other person. But you can do it by shifting into the authentic self cycle and developing emotional authenticity, because emotional authenticity is built on the 4 pillars of the authentic self cycle, which are truth, responsibility, healing, and forgiveness. So instead of talking about content, you start talking about truth. You tell your partner the truth about the wound that's activated. So instead of saying, you're being ridiculous, just get out of my face, you get truthful. You dig into your feelings and you say, I'm realizing I feel ashamed right now, and it's making me defensive. It's reminding me I'm seeing in this moment when my brother, my sister, my coach, my teacher, my parent did A, B, C, and D. I'm reliving that moment right now. You see, when we make the fear conscious and share it with our partner, this is where the heart shifts. You say the thing your inner child is scared to admit and never got to say as a child. Thoughts like, I'm afraid you don't value me. I'm scared I'm letting you down. I'm really afraid I'm not enough. And what I'm most afraid of all is that you'll leave or walk away. When you get into truth, it opens up access into your partner for empathy. And when they're in truth and they hear you say that, they're going to sit there and go, my God, I've been waiting my whole life to admit the exact same thing. I'm scared to death you're going to walk away. And when I hear you say this, all I picture is my dad's back as he walked out the door. I never knew. That's what I was feeling when you did that. That's truth. So now connection replaces conflict. All the conversations soften instantly. This is the transformational moment. This is when the worst day cycle ends. Think of a tsunami. Your relationship has been a tsunami. It's just engulfed you. You've been tumbling around completely at its mercy. Well, now that you're learning all of this, and as you get better at the authentic self cycle and the emotional authenticity cycle, you can just picture the waters receding and you're just on the beach. You can finally breathe. Now you can start moving to step 2 of the authentic self cycle. You can take responsibility for your part. And you do that. Every time you start to lose containment, you go, wait a minute. This is my wound. This is not your attack. You pause. You get into truth. You see what's really going on. So now your partner no longer feels that they have to defend against you, and vice versa. Then you move on to the next step of the authentic self cycle. You both commit to doing the healing work on your worst day cycles. And when you combine truth, responsibility, and healing, do you see what you get? Do you remember what step 4 was? Forgiveness. When you can speak and hear truth, when you observe your partner taking responsibility for their side of the street and doing the healing work, piece of cake to forgive them. I'm sick of your words. I love your actions. And they see the same in you. And you feel the same about yourself because you're really proud of yourself. Man, I'm doing the work. I really like that about me. That's how you heal it. Both move from being destroyers to healers. Do you see that your loving actions have replaced your childhood pain-soaked words thrown at each other? So let's start to wrap this up. I think you can see by now, it's pretty clear neither one of you is broken. And most likely, your relationship is not broken either. You're both just patterned in the worst day cycle. And this is where everything shifts for people when they learn this. They realize they've never actually been fighting with each other. They've only been fighting their own unhealed childhood wounds. And when they see that, you stop seeing arguments as relationship problems and you start seeing them for what they are, healing opportunities. Because every conflict becomes a mirror that shows each of you what part of me is still hurting, what fear is running me in this moment, what shame am I using to try and protect myself? How is my denial robbing me of showing up as my authentic self? The moment you both see the cycle and commit to healing it, you're no longer controlled by it. You're free. Both of you are present adults. And now you can communicate with each other as adults instead of two wounded, perfectly imperfect, beautiful, but wounded children. Now that you know a couple of the steps of the emotional authenticity method, I'd encourage you just to remind you, what am I feeling? Where in my body do I feel it? And what's my first memory? Go through some old arguments. Leave me some comments. Did you just have some insight of a past partner or maybe a relationship you're in and you realize you fought yesterday and it's like, oh my God, it's actually about this moment in childhood. Share it with me. I'd love to have a discussion about it. I'm telling you, it's just so exciting when you realize that all your fights aren't with them. It's this, well, you just have to live the experience, and then you can leave the comments about what you're feeling as you get into truth, take responsibility, and do the healing work. And feel that forgiveness that now you see what's really happening. So Plus your comment might help somebody else who's still in denial and going, yeah, I don't know about this worst day cycle, and no, it's not my childhood, it's them, because that's going to happen to a lot of people. Denial, man, it's a you-know-what. It's really hard for people to admit that that there's pain from their past. Denial that's how the worst day cycle works. The shame and denial portion goes, oh, no. That's not true. And that's what keeps people stuck. That's why the divorce rate is where it is. That's why everyone's miserable. Shame and denial are the single greatest killers on the planet today. Bigger than COVID or cancer. They're driving everything. So if you open up about your experience, you bring that person one step closer to truth, responsibility, healing, and forgiveness. If you want to learn more about my worst day cycle that I discovered, the authentic self cycle and the emotional authenticity method, I encourage you, subscribe, go through my playlist. I've walked through quite a bit of it, my books too. And maybe if there's anyone out there, if you want personalized help overcoming any of these aspects and getting personalized skills and tools to navigate going much deeper on all of these concepts, right at the top of the description box, you can see there's a link there to book your private session with me. So I'm going to leave you with one last thought. It's about conflict. Now, as soon as we hear that word, what emotion do you feel? Most likely something negative. That's the definition you learned in childhood, is conflict is negative. Well, part of the emotional authenticity method is you learn to reframe those emotional definitions, because many times they're inaccurate. That's why you're fighting. So here's a different way to look at conflict if you want to. You see, conflict isn't always a sign that there's something wrong in a relationship. In most cases, actually in my experience, almost all cases, it's actually a sign that something is ready to be healed.